Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Almost Famous Magazine. I'm very excited today because we have an incredible musician with us, Mr. Billy Harvey. And with many musicians, there are taglines, there are ways to introduce them. And I wish I could have written something as eloquent as this. But A.J. Croce has been quoted as saying it the best. Billy Harvey is the most famous person you've never heard of. And I think when you get to know Billy today in our discussion, you're going to understand that Billy has probably touched your life musically in one way or another. You just don't know it yet. But when we get done, you're going to go back and you're going to find his entire catalog and go, wow, what an incredible musician and how he's touched my life. So with that, welcome, Billy. Good to see you.
Thank you, Scott. I'm stoked to be here, really.
Well, I think the first thing we can jump into is we're just kind of both lucky to be here because both of us recently have had arm surgery. I had my left arm done, and you had your right. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I can hold it up for you. I had my shoulder rebuilt. It's not uncommon, a rotator cuff surgery. Am I yelling with these headphones? Is it?
No, you're good.
Am I coming? Okay. But it was the full meal deal. They reattached my bicep. They did this thing here. What's it called? They did the labrum stuff. They did this and something else where they were shaving the bone or something, or the cartilage. But so, it's extensive and it's exciting to just be, I've been living in excruciating pain. If you've had it, you can't sleep, and like 7 months of like it'll get better, and then finally like, woo, I got to go to the hospital. It feels good. I'm playing guitar again, and really respecting the physical therapy because I want to play guitar. I love my arm. I realize that now. But it's been really fun. I've always been a little bit ambidextrous, but just throwing frisbee, playing catch, making sandwiches for my kids, just all left-handed. It's been pretty neat. So I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely gives you an appreciation for having two limbs. I'll be honest, because mine, even though what I have here is most people call it tennis elbow, all my friends call it shutter elbow because I've been holding up lenses for too long. But you get definitely an appreciation for having both hands available.
What's the pain of that? Like, how does that lead to I got to get this operated on?
Very similar. About 1.5 years of no sleep. To be honest, it's pain every time you roll over, and the nerves are super sensitive and stuff. So,
it just doesn't heal.
Yeah, it doesn't heal. So you got to get it fixed. So,
my bicep just like interjected.
Yeah, I know the feel, dude. It's a crazy thing, but a good thing we're both on the mend. Hey, before we jump into the reason why we're here today, which is your new single "Trouble in Paradise" that'll be coming out really soon. As I mentioned, most people are maybe unfamiliar with you, but your musical catalog with so much of your solo work, band stuff, and your journey has really touched the lives of many people. But again, they may not know it. Tell us a little bit about your musical history before we kind of jump into the new single.
It starts with wanting to play guitar and wanting to be basically Eddie Van Halen, and how do you grow your hair? I didn't have any guidance. No, I didn't learn the foundational skills. I just wanted to be on stage, and so I approached it from that way and muscled my way through. It's terrifying. I now realize how little I've known my whole life about anything. But I started playing guitar and wanting to be in a rock band so I could be the lead guitar guy, the guitar hero. So it was kind of a harder rock, Zeppelin-y, hair bandy. When you listen to any of that music that we used to call metal or hard rock, it sounds like bubblegum today. So it went from that to then growing up and wanting to maybe write more and I didn't want to be a singer, but I loved my singer so much. And when our band broke up, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to try to sing because I don't want to find somebody else. So I started singing and writing, and that led me to Austin, Texas, where so many great songwriters just kind of come out of the dirt. And so I was exploring that scene, and that led me to reading more books. Then I became more interested in reading books than practicing guitar scales. So nobody in Austin really even knew I was a shredder. that I was on Headbangers Ball on MTV back in the day, you know. But because I wanted to be Springsteen, and you know, I was discovering Bob Dylan and Springsteen and Lyle Lovett and Steve Earle and Townes Van Zandt, and you know, Mike Nikolai was a local guy who I loved. So then the evolution continues, and it's like I went all the way into the songwriter world, and then was kind of bored by that folkiness of it, because I came from something else that wanted to bend your ear or shake you by the jacket. And so I was starting to get into more Elliott Smith and My Bloody Valentine, or you know, more like bending your ear discordance of emotionally complex soundscapes. And so I was just exploring that, like, how do you do that with no musical knowledge or theory? Just how can I muscle my way through orchestration? And then that led, you know, then like as the musical journey's happening, life's happening simultaneously, and you're, you know, moving around and helping family and losing parents and meeting people and getting married and doing so. With my fiance in New York, we're having our kid. Making I was touring with Patty Griffin at the time as a side musician, which influenced me a lot. I started learning about songs, learning her songs, going, oh wow, you know, these sound simple, but I have no idea how to play these simple songs. And then I made a record in Brooklyn, and then we had our daughter June, and then we moved to Nashville, to make a long story short. And then Nashville has very much inspired and influenced me and raised my game. Everyone here is so beautifully driven and wonderfully passionate. With a, you know, you can go, but with a carve out 4 if you want to rag on something, but I don't hang or choose to see that side of things, you know? So I'm just here going, woo, I wish I moved here in my 30s, man, because I'd be a badass. Anyway, that's that.
Well, so you know, it's interesting. You mentioned a lot of influences, and when you talk about kind of this evolution, and then learning the art and the craft of songwriting, I can tell you, having known your music for probably a good, I don't know, about 10 years now, that you've had this really this monumental evolution. Your lyrics, especially, you know, you may not want to be an open chord pluck away singer songwriter, but the poignancy of your lyrics have evolved tremendously. Very, very topical, very much putting the listener into a life story or into an idea, and it's really evolved. And you've never been one to really shy away from a topic. So, as I was preparing for to talk to you today about Trouble in Paradise, I went back to Bullseye, your last album, and your song "Fuck a Gun." And let's talk about the impetus to that, because I have a feeling that voice kind of started to bridge into where Trouble in Paradise is, and potentially future songs by you as you really start to tackle some of society's topics.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for that question. Everything is a guy I met when I lived in Texas. His name's Slade Cleaves. Do you know him? He's a legend. He's a legend. He's such a great songwriter. I met him while I was busking on the street in Austin, and I've worked with him a little bit. But he is. He told me one thing, that basically every song is a relationship, and it's you in your car, it's you and your loved one, it's you and your job, it's you and your dreams. It's, they're all relationship songs. And social and political songs are, they're relationships too, and they're hard for me to write about because you don't want to sound like preachy or that you're trying to teach somebody anything, but you want to say something that's poignant, but you want to leave it open for the listener to superimpose their urgency onto a more general lyric. So I started getting my first like political song is called Poisoning the Pool, and it's actually one of my most played songs on Spotify, bizarrely, but it was during Bush's term, and I was getting riled up about things, so I just started writing them into the song, and I wasn't trying to be a folky protest singer, but that song came from an honest place, and it has a little bit more specifics in it. And so that was the first one. And then there's a couple on Bullseye, and you asked about Fuck a Gun, right? So Fuck a Gun started, I mean, the times we're in, everybody's aware of, so that they're agitating my relationship to my fellow American. Like, most dudes I meet or work with when I was doing manual labor, when you just hang around any situation that seems scary because you don't know the people or whatever. Once you know people, like, you realize there's a lot more love in the room, and there's a lot more familiarity between human experience. So our relationship to each other is being fucked with by the political system. And I am on a side, but not really, because it's not a side that anyone has designated for me. It's just a side of looking around and going, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, this I don't know anything about, this I can stay out of, this is what the fuck, this, huh? So it's just like that. And so I have it seems obvious that people don't need fucking M16s in their lives and weapons of war, just like they don't need bazookas, Have guns, be hunters, do your deal. I've owned a gun before. The first time I shot, and I had a really cool gun, it was a Colt Anniversary reissue 45. It was beautiful. The first time I shot it, I was like, holy shit, this could kill somebody. That was my first thought. I was like, I might have been 20, and I used to go to the range to try to get better, and I kept it for 15 years. I got rid of it. Now I kind of wish I still had it, you know? But so it's not that. It's just the ridiculous nature of going, oh, and then pointing the finger at, you know, troubled people. Of course people are troubled. The internet exists, you know? The internet is just I'll get sidetracked. But so, you know, the ridiculous nature of it, and the fact that nobody on one side seems to want to address it, and maybe both. I don't know the politics of it, but the song "Fuck a Gun" came out of was inspired by the Vegas shooting, and they called the guy a lone wolf, and he was in his fucking room with his M16, cowardly shoots, you know. So I go, fuck a gun, fuck a motherfucker looking at a lone wolf shooting at the sun or someone. Fuck a gun, you know. How much money do you need? You know, I was just like, it came out this fast. You know, the collateral cost of greed, like there's fucking blood in the streets. How much, like, what? I I can't even say anything about it, you know. And then the chorus is just like, you know, I used to play guns when I was a kid. I grew up shooting each other and playing cowboys and Indians. You know, I that's where I grew up, and I get it. I get the fetish. You know, they're sexy. They feel like they protect you. But now I have a song that I'm not scared to sing. I'm proud I have it. I don't like that I have it. When somebody wants to hear it, I will play it for them, you know? Yeah. And that's that.
Well, no, and that's, you know, look, that's, again, I think this is my opinion, and I'm, you know, hopefully people who watch this will listen, and songs are meant to be interpreted. I hope people will realize that this evolution of your songwriting has become more of a, this is how I feel, this is what I believe, and these are the things I wish could change. And that's my interpretation of these things. You know, we don't necessarily, you know, I've shot guns, I go to a range, but I'm not out using them against people because they do have a lot of power. But to realize that and to hold that true to yourself so that you understand that there's a respect of that, I think is really a good point to be made in a song like this. Now, that leading up to what's your current release, obviously Trouble in Paradise, and I've not heard the lyrics. I know that I know a little bit about it. I want you to tell everyone about it. But obviously, it's something that's been on your mind lately. So tell us about Trouble in Paradise and how this song came to be.
Yeah. Well, my birthday is on January 6th. There you go. I was hanging out, celebrating my birthday, and January 6th happened. And we were stunned. We were in shock. We were titillated as much as the news media wanted us to be. It was very entertaining and disgusting, horrifying, like unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening. Like the did you ever see that movie Idiocracy?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I always thought it's Mike Judge, right? I always thought he was prophetic. I mean, that movie is like, I got to go back and watch it. It seems prophetic, but it made me want to say something, but I don't know. There's nothing to say. The truth is out there for people who don't have their fingers in their ears and their eyes like blindfolded. And I'll include myself in that. Like I always want to keep my mind open to what I might be able to learn, or how I might be able to see something from somebody else's standpoint. But with all that was going on, with all the gaslighting, all the, climate denial, the erasure, the like rewriting of history in the school books, and like immediately rewriting the riot, and a little bit of the description of the riot is in the song, but I was trying to be a little vague with this, because it's just like pointing out the things. Like, the solution doesn't need to be said by me. The solution is fucking obvious. It's like, people are starving. Feed them. What?
Yeah.
That's it? So, the house is on fire. Put it out. Okay. Now what? It's burnt to the ground. Let's figure out what, like, it. I know things are more complex than that, but they're also that simple. And so, I'm excited for people to hear it. Since then to now, Roe has been overturned, and I have 2 daughters whose rights have now been altered, and I have so much. This song for me becomes about that. It's a continuation, although I didn't. It's not. It's not written into the song. The intention of an 80s style, hey, this is a get up and go, like, I'm gonna clean my house and go vote and go do the thing and go help somebody, and it's that. I'm not writing I'll try to write the other one too. But this is that one, so I'm excited for it to come out, and
Well, no,
and I'm glad I could finish it while I only had one arm.
Now that you know what, maybe this will go down as the first one hit, the first one-armed hit, hit by a musician that create a new category for you. You hit on a couple things, and I'll be honest with you. I was listening to your song "Say Yeah," and it's got that great kind of a fuzzy bass line. It marches along, and it's very anthem-esque. And I feel that's kind of been a direction that you've been going in with a number of these songs. But two things that you brought up in our conversation was being in Nashville and now having 2 daughters. How have both of those things impacted your writing?
The daughters, man, so much is going on at once. It's like the age you turn, the chapter you're in, simultaneously. It's the daughters. But I've wanted to direct my music outward versus inward. When I was living alone, when I was living by myself, doing whatever I want, no accountability, just exploring, I had the luxury of singing about my feelings in a way that was very selfish. That, it's like, put the candles on, get in the bathtub, and play my first, 5 records or whatever, 2 of them at least. But then I'm just like, you know what? I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about everyone else, of which I am a part of. So it's just a shift in how I would approach it. It's still about me, but it's about everyone else first. And that started changing in my writing. My daughters made me want, and my wife as well, make me want to just push harder, to to just keep trying to get that elusive one shot of lightning. I just want to get lucky. I want to have myself in a position where somebody might help me or something might take off. So that's affects me that way. And Nashville has just raised my game because everyone is so good. Everyone is like, there's so many people are just like stunningly good.
Yeah.
It can be daunting at first. Eventually you realize that what sets people apart is what they have to say and how they say it. So, you know, I don't hate on myself as a guitar player here like I did for a window. And I'm trying to get back to who I was when I knew nothing. Cuz now I'm actually trying to learn, but I want to play like I know nothing again. So now I'm playing like I'm trying to learn, and in ways it's better, but I'm on my journey, you know? So Nashville's making me better. I love the numbers charts in the studios. I love how people work here in the studio. And yeah, it's cool.
You know, with that and this journey that you're on, we'll take a quick step back to Bullseye, and I want to
Yeah.
kind of get into this a little bit. I mean, it was your last. I think that was your last full album, right? Um,
Yes.
you set yourself a very unique challenge. Now, correct me if I don't get this right, but your challenge was you wanted to write an album, one song a day from inception to mix. And I think it was like 10 or 12 songs. And you wanted the challenge of getting it done, doing it fast, getting the emotion in there, getting the spontaneity in there, right?
Uh-huh.
And you really hit the nail on the head with the album, but it leads me to this question, right? With
Yeah.
that kind of goal and that kind of challenge, did the music find you, or did you find the music in each of those days? Like, how did that creation come about to be able to accomplish that goal that you had?
I make a lot of my records. It's almost like something tells me to start. And it's usually irrational and uh what's the word? Like a lofty goal to try to achieve. Um, I've made so it started. My answers are long because I love your questions. So you know, edit them if you will. But my damn, every record has started out of a thing. Uh, what was it? Do you, okay. So well, here's one. One of them was I had just put out a record called Dear Danger, and in the time that record came out, my wait, what? No. I had just put out a record called Elephants in the Room, and in that time, a friend of mine was passing away, and so we wanted to make a record because he wanted to make music. So I just booked a session, and we picked 12 songs and just blazed through in 2 days and captured it. And that's the record, The Arsonist. And it's because of my friend George Reef and the love we had for him. And we wanted to just do it. So we made that record in fucking 3 days. And then I and then and then he passed and we all grieved. It took me about a year to get back to it. And I had mutual friends overdub on it and just kind of play with him. I'll start crying. Yeah, you know, it's I don't know. I just do things that don't make sense just because they make sense, to me. And I've done it a couple times. Bullseye was another good one. The pandemic had just hit. I'm always writing. I have songs around. I have songs that I kind of just it's a horrible demo. I try to make them horrible because I get attached to them. So I'm trying to make them bad. So there's always 50 songs on the hard drive or more. And a good friend of mine and a wonderful motivator to me is his name's Lars Goranson. And on a couple occasions, he's been a facilitator of these projects. I had just lost my mom, and the pandemic started. I was kind of going nuts. I didn't go, maybe I should make a record because I have it together. I had nothing. I was a crazed dude. It was not good, I'm telling you. And I'm just like, hey, Lars, I don't know if he said it to me or I said it to him. I'm like, let's make a record. I'm going to send you a song a day, mix them, send them to me in the morning. I, I, I don't know why I did that. It just happened. And he rose to the challenge, and it informed the style. I trusted. I had an idea of the songs. I was trying to I'm like, hey, I got these songs, but I trusted that the ones would come together. I didn't write them all. A lot of them were written. Probably half of them needed arrangement or a bridge or something. There was writing done. It was a lot of work to do in a day. But the reality of it is, I probably only spent 4 hours a day on each song, and I sent the rest to Lars because I only allowed myself 3 takes on each instrument, so it didn't take a long time, and that was it. And now I look back on it and go, I love it. It is what it is. If I analyze it, I'll change 50 things about it. But it is what it is. You gotta just. I feel like it's wild participating in creativity because it's like, how much do I apply myself, and when am I meddling in it? And I'm always just like, I need to let this be because I feel like I just want to push because I want to push. So that'll be done next. And that's really all it is.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's a great way of looking at putting some guardrails on not overthinking, not overcomplicating,
Uh-huh.
not ending up with analysis paralysis, right? I mean, not that Boston didn't make great music, but Tom Scholz certainly had analysis paralysis when he's on the floor splicing up, pieces of tape,
Yeah.
hundreds of them. And it's kind of an evolution. I mean, if you think about it, I was recently talking to Nick Collins of the new band The Effect, and their new album, it sounds like it was created live in a studio with 4 musicians who have probably been playing together forever. And yet it was 4 people doing it all remotely, providing each other creative notes, giving each other the flexibility to be creative, but just getting at it and knocking out the numbers. And I think that technology has certainly given a little more flexibility in creativity, but at the other end of the spectrum, you have to say to yourself, have we done enough? Are we going to do too much? Do we have some magic in a bottle, and will we ruin it if we keep working on it? So I think that's a great, putting those guardrails on yourself was a great idea, for sure.
It is. That's the thing I'm exploring more and more, though, is you know, not overworking versus how far to push. And nowadays, usually when I like it, I push for another 2 more days and double back or not. But I can't leave. I don't want to put another record out at this point where I look back on it. I don't regret any of them, but I don't want to go, oh, I should have just made that should have just I should have just raised give it more pop appeal, give myself a bigger chance of it blowing up. Not that anyone knows why or how that does, but I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna make sure. I want This is what I want, not what I'll get, hopefully, but what I'm shooting for is when people hear stuff, they're like, whoa, like that. Not like, oh, that's cool. I like your new record. That's a failure to me. I don't want anyone to like it. Love it or hate it, you know? That love it or hate it, and probably mostly love it because they're going to be killer.
Yeah, well,
I'm working on my new one. It's going to take a while, but I'm going all in. And and also going all in doesn't mean it's going to be worth a shit, you know? I'm just I don't know. I don't know. I'm learning more. I'm trying hard. I'm
well,
trying
and that's
hard.
look, and that's the best you can do. I mean, you've been a kind of a jack of all trades in your career. What most people probably don't know is you produce your own music videos. You're producing music videos for other artists. You're not just being creative in one genre, in music. You're applying your creativity kind of across the board, in a
Yeah.
number of different areas, and I think that probably helps infuse some of that fire to get to that love or hate, no in between kind of piece.
Mm-hmm. I'm working on a few things right now that I really love, and I'm pouring that level of wanting the bar to be high into these projects, and it's harder to put that much effort into myself. For one, I have to pay the bills, so work gets priority, and it's it's earning a living as a musician is just so hard. So I have to work a lot on things, and I feel fortunate that mostly, but definitely right now, I enjoy the people I work with. I love them, and I'm trying to raise the bar on their projects in the same way that I am on my own. It's just like this stage in life with what you asked before. It's a stage in life where I realize I'm not immortal, and I'm like, it's time to throw it fucking down. Like, no more pussyfooting. I'm just going for it, with everything. No time to wait. Time is the only commodity. And what you do with your time, I want to leave the world better. I want to be kind to people so they walk away feeling good. So they walk away maybe inspired to think about something or to feel good about themselves. And kind of just simplify my life and try not to beat up on myself every day. for for what?
Yeah, no, it's hard sometimes. I mean, you end up with the, if only I had done this or that, the outcome would have been different. And
Yeah.
you can really give yourself analysis paralysis that way, right?
I mean,
And
I
great
wish
art becomes good art that way.
I kind of wish I just would have been a contractor because I love building. I love building things. I got tools, and I'll build a fence or a deck or a bookcase or whatever. It's my happy place. And but probably I love the life I chose. It's just it's just it's a wire walk,
Yeah.
It's a wire walk unless you get lucky like that, like some people get. I feel fortunate. I feel very fortunate, but I want to get lucky.
I think, looking at the trajectory of your career and the artists you've performed with and the projects you've been on and the work that you're putting into, I'm sure you're gonna get there. You just can't put a pin in the when part, right?
No,
Uh,
no.
let's do this. I really want our viewers to get to know you, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm always interested in who are some of the artistic influences that have had big impact on you. It doesn't have to be in music. It can be painting, it can be literature, whatever. But who are some of the people that really you kind of hold close and you take on their journey with you?
Well, right now, I mostly hold close spiritual tenets, like, just trying to keep myself calm and centered and inspired by keeping myself in the moment and being kind to myself. And that's my music, really. I know that's esoteric, but that's just what's happening. So musically, I am stuck in 1979. So right around there. So I have Cars Candio, which I think is a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite records of all time. And I play that in the house. Pretty much, that's like the only record I play. I play that in the house. When I was starting out, I wanted to be a guitar player, so I gravitated toward guitar players, and they influenced me melodically. I hooked on to the melody part. Um, I mean, listen to Eddie Van Halen. He's with all that eruption. He's pretty melodic and bluesy. But so it was like him. Jeff Beck was my favorite, still is. Um, David Gilmour. Although I didn't really like Pink Floyd, I liked his guitar playing because it just sounds like crying to me. And then who I was obsessed over was Neil Schon from Journey, and this was before anyone knew who Journey was, when they basically sounded like Santana, before Steve Perry got in the band, the singer. Um, Neil's guitar playing is really, it's kind of fusiony. It's really fast, but it's bluesy as fuck. It's modal. I know these words now. I never knew what the fuck he was doing, and I barely do now. Can't play it. But in between all that, uh, he just wrote some beautiful solos. At least to me, that they were just melodic as could be, and so I was a fan of early Journey, and then with Steve Perry through a bunch of years, and I listened to him. I'm sure I was a fan of pop music. I'd listen to pop radio. I didn't have any older siblings. No one was turning me on to. I had nobody to be like, dude, you gotta like listen to the Stones, man. Listen to Zeppelin. I was listening to Huey Lewis and Ozzy and Pat Benatar and Allman Brothers, but only Dreams. Dun, 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 dun. Gotta get myself together. Uh, and we'd play like Paranoia by the Kinks, and so my influences are just guitar players, and pop. And then that next era, when I moved to Austin and started wanting to write, my influences were the books I was reading and singer-songwriter guys. I was really obsessed with Steve Earle. I love I love Vonnegut and Bukowski and you know, Graham Greene, and I don't know. I got a whole bookshelf of books that I've actually read, and they were my love and my passion and my inspiration and my music, with a little bit of that Elliott Smith drama stuff in the background. And then nowadays it is Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about astrophysics and listening to my own mixes. That's really about it.
No, that's good. Now,
I
do you with all of that? I'm
Yeah.
curious because I like to open up people to songs and music. Are there, who are like 2 or 3 artists that you're currently listening to? Do you have any modern artists or anybody that may be off the beaten path that doesn't necessarily get all the commercial success? They're not the big artists. Anyone that you're listening to that you're really enjoying that you like to share that experience with other people to get into?
This, honestly, I don't listen to new music anymore. I turned into that person. I used to check in with it more. I used to surf the radio stations. I do genuinely almost love all kinds of music. I listen to it all. I have listened to it all. And I do, but not in a way that where I can cite anyone. And so there's no one new right now. Every now and then I'll scroll on a drive. I'll scroll the XM, and it's usually some country artist who has a song that just sounds incredible. But I just like listening to old records. I like listening to 70s Waylon Jennings or 70s Judas Priest or Sabbath or Supertramp, or I'm just being inspired by the records I'm just listening to the records that are in that classic of my generation, just that classic lexicon of this is what music is, and going, oh, I'm competitive. I got that. I can mix that Adamant record. I love that Adamant record, and I'm, not the popular one, the first one. It's so awesome. I can mix like that. I can do that Romantics record, and it's awesome. And I don't know how they did, fucking Jerry Rafferty. That record's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But I just want to be inspired by that. If I was a little bit younger, I'm learning AI already. I'm learning AI for the video stuff. I'm learning all kinds of stuff. My brain is just tired. If I was a little bit younger, I'd be on the AI music tip, and I'd just let AI do everything for me, because that's what the kids have the time to do. And I'd just be like, I'd have my AI and go, retro drum beat, spacey piano, upright bass line, key of G, just have somebody sing, make a song. With what I know, I could make music that way, because I know how to write and I know how to compose. I could just let the AI do it, and it's not a cop out. It's just like, let them do it. I mean, I'm glad my arm's healing, but I'm just going, I can do a lot right now. And but I'm just totally impassioned and fascinated about fucking Billy Squires record, really, and that's it.
Hey, no, that's all good. And look, you're absolutely right. I mean, we are. it's interesting because Sheryl Crow said recently in an interview that it's really, she's really sad because it's hard for artists to make money anymore, especially with you create an album and her biggest album I think sold 14 million copies, and her last album was like 90,000 because people stream it, and there's so many ways to consume music. But at the same time, although that is kind of on a downswing, the ability and the way that we can create is on the upswing. There are so many different ways to produce things or create things that are different than what we've had before, and I think that's some of the joy in creation. Now that being said, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are part of a new band, aren't you? Like with actual people, right?
I have a few. Yes, I have a band. A band I've been working with. We made our record during the pandemic in separate studios. The band's called RadioBot, and we've been trying to get it off the ground for a while. We've released a couple singles. It's myself and two guys who are like they're they're like they're notable in the business. They've sold millions. They're just so talented. We all kind of knew each other, and we're friends. And Eddie Wall, who's one of the guys, who's a super producer, everything writer guy. Actually, I made my first Billy Harvey record with him, and so he hooked me up with his pal Brett Scallions, who was in a band called Fuel, and we started writing songs. And then we made it. We made like 25 songs. So
wow.
We're starting to release them. We have a company here in Nashville, and a strategy, and we have a third single that's going to come out, and it's called Find Your Way Home. It's kind of military based, and it's beautiful, epic. I mean, it's I don't know what to say about it, but and I also don't know how to release anything. I've never done that. These guys have. If they get everything together they're talking about, and I help out with I help out where I can help out with artwork and music and calls. I know people too, but I think that single's coming out in a month or two, and we're gonna have a video for it, and it's like it's epic, man. It's rock and roll, and I'd love to be able to do a gig with that band. I mean, we're just hoping that something catches so we can put the band together, do some shows, and see if there's see if there's any appetite for it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah.
Now, so we've covered a lot of ground today, and you've got a number of things on the horizon. One of the things I'm curious about, and I haven't really discussed this with anybody in about a year, but there was talk about you and Alex Deason and Salim Narala doing another NHD album. Has there been any progress with that?
No, but when we got together for our tour, we did record the song, 3 or 4 songs. No, 3. We recorded 3 songs, and then we had previously recorded another Thin Lizzy song to pair up with our first record. So we do have 4 songs recorded. We want to do a record. So the long answer is yes, we're going to do a record. Hopefully it won't be 7 years from now.
Well, I mean, you've got, Billy, or not Billy, Alex has the Damwell's album that they're
they just
coming out this year. So
yeah, I saw that crowdfunding success. That was amazing. So I figured I won't hear from him for a year and a half with all the work he'll have in front of him.
So you've got the new single comes out on, what is it, the 19th, that we're all looking forward to. And
yeah, this Friday, I think.
Then you've got another single. I think it's this Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got You've got another single coming out. What else is on the horizon? Let's wrap this up with some big news about Billy Harvey and what's on. What can we expect in the next 6 to 9 months?
Oof. My physical therapy going famously, and me posting a video of me doing pull-ups for you guys.
There you go. It's all about goals.
That would be it. That's really about it.
Yeah.
I'm doing some shows with Kim Ritchie, who's just one of the best songwriters ever, and she lives here in Nashville, and I'm doing some out-of-town shows with her, playing guitar. I'm trying to get up to speed. It hurts, but I love her songs, and so that's coming up, and just mixing for people and trying to get my songs recorded so I can put a record out, maybe next year.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, hey, Billy, it's been great catching up with you. I mean, we've been going on for almost an hour already,
Scott.
and
Yeah.
it's really been enlightening.
Man, I'm so glad to talk to you. Thank you for reaching out. Where can I see this or post it, or what do we do?
Yeah, well, you know what, everybody? You can see this on the YouTube channel for Almost Famous Magazine. Also on Instagram, we'll have clips, a lot of clips leading up to it. And we'll post the whole entire interview. So you're going to get the whole full-on Billy Harvey experience on Almost Famous Magazine. So, yeah, the full meal Billy Harvey special.
It's
better than a Luann plate. So, well, Billy, it's been great seeing you. Thanks so much for joining today, and all the best in your rehab.
Right on, Scott. You too.